What's going on, good people of YouTube? Sound checks. Alright, looks like we're good. Looks like we got the good sound. We're hearing okay. Yep, we good. I have not been playing the game a lot lately. As far as this, my Noles season that we had to eventually restart. Man, haven't been playing it a lot. So, figure we knock out probably a couple games today, or however many I just feel like playing until I cut the stream off, whatever the case may be. We got West Virginia, and then of course we're gonna talk about that Florida State stuff like we always do. Still kind of waiting to see if anybody come up in here and join it. Last night, apparently, woke up this morning only to see that last night. I don't know if my son got a hold of some stuff or something, but I was streaming for 40-something, 50 minutes and had no idea I was even streaming. And so, if you saw that, if you just so happen to tune into that, disregard that one. But here we are on this Friday. We're about to get into some NCAA. Of course, talk about whatever needs to be talked about as far as football goes. Another scrimmage coming up this weekend. I considered. We'll get into that a little later. So yeah, we're just waiting a little bit. Just got started. Only been on for 5 minutes, so I'm gonna wait a little bit. It's a Friday morning for me, Friday afternoon for most of y'all. Ba-bum-bum. Alright. Send a couple links out, be right back. Da-dum, 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 dum, 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 da-dum, 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 dum, dum, dum. Raymond, what's going on, brother? Peace and blessings to you. Talk about this gameplay. Talk about some football. Talk about FSU's scrimmage this Saturday. They doing another one. Good stuff coming up. I don't know, everybody's probably working on this Friday, but I'm not. I got my Grizzly on. I'm about to start the game here in a minute. Duval know what's going on, man. Hey, look, if y'all saw that stream last night, I don't know what that was. I think my son had got a hold of my stuff and cut my stuff on. I didn't even know my stuff was streaming. It was last night for me. It was like early this morning for y'all. For like 50 minutes, the stuff was just streaming. So disregard that. I had to delete that. I had no idea that was even happening. But yeah, I'm gonna wait a little bit. We'll wait about 2 more minutes. Yeah, we'll wait about another two minutes, then we'll get into this. But yeah, got some gameplay. I have been lacking. Tyler, what's going on, brother? I've been lacking in the game stuff, but figured I'd give it a shot today. Friday, ain't got nothing to do. Why not play some video games? Been really busy lately, and then with all the news about it's so good to have the football season back. There's pretty much news every day about Florida State. They're gonna have another scrimmage this Saturday, so that's always a positive. Mission takeaways in full effect. Lars Woodbay, Hampson Nasruddin is on there. T2Y says Auburn. If you're talking about who I think you're talking about, we stopped recruiting him a while ago, T2Y, so it doesn't really matter. Let me go ahead and get the game started. Browley's doing very well. I don't know if you guys seen it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. One-on-one coverage with Browley and Tamarion Terry. Now, I'll say this. Though I don't like it, that probably would have been called a pass interference by some ACC refs or something, if we're being honest. But me personally, that's damn good football. That was damn good coverage. I think he kind of hooked the arm on the waist a little bit. But Browley paid Tamarion Terry one-on-one as about as well as you can. I thought that was damn good coverage. Browley is making an impact. I also saw a clip of Miko Dotson getting burnt deep by Tamarion Terry, but hell, Tamarion Terry could probably do that to about 90% of the corners in the NCAA. But Browley's looking really good though. Norvell says most of the quarterbacks are looking at it, looking pretty well. Duval says, where can I buy NCAA 21 at? Yeah. Don't know about that one. I wish they was still making them, man. Terry is basically uncoverable. You have to be up on him. Yeah. Terry is I don't want to say he's a complete receiver because I think he's got some stuff to work on. Basically, his route running. I think his route running is still his major weakness. He's pretty much a one-trick pony when it comes to the route running. But what he is he's like you said, he's uncoverable because he is, if you play off of him, you risk him getting he's the type of receiver that he'll take a quick slant to the house. You risk playing off of him too far because he's fast. They're just give him a quick slant or like a curl route or something. He can take that to the house just like that. Break one tackle and he's gone. Then of course if you play too off on him, which I think may be the best strategy, is try to get a little physical with Tamarion. But if you can't get your hands on him and adequate time, he's just going to burn you deep there. So Tamari Terry's going to do that stuff that he did to Miko to the majority of the corners in the NCAA. Browley looked very good, though. I was very happy with seeing Browley. I'm very excited for what the whole team does this year, to be honest with you. Another thing to look at, since T2Y want to show up, I don't know if he's still here or he done dipped. Anonymous ACC coaches. If you haven't seen those comments, check that out. I'll read it here in a second. I saved it because I thought that was very telling. I think if you remember when Taggart took over, there was a lot of perceived jealousy or hate on Woody Taggart. A lot of the anonymous coaches around the country felt like Taggart was an overrated coach and got a job at a level of program that he didn't necessarily deserve. That was kind of the narrative when Taggart initially took over Florida State. Well, the narrative's pretty different from Mike Norvell. But I want to talk about both. And I'm going to read it here for a second. Let me get a couple plays in. We're going to get a couple plays in. Go ahead and whoop up on West Virginia. But we're going to read these anonymous coaching quotes. This is about Florida State and Miami. How's everybody doing today? What else am I missing? I considered doing a video on the 2022 DN, and then after watching the tape, I decided it wasn't worth doing a video. Not because I don't think the kid has talent. I don't want to break down JV film, if I'm being honest, and then try to determine how that's going to translate to Division I college football. I need some junior highlights. I need some more varsity film, some more junior highlights, senior highlights, that type of deal. So we'll hold off on Kelly, DN, out of Fort Lauderdale. We'll hold off on the video there because I feel like, let's go. I feel like there's a lot more to be, that tape wasn't, again, JV tape, I'm not gonna break that down. I'm not gonna break down any JV tape. So I got his touchdown. I wanna read this. Hold on, let me read this. Anonymous coach on Miami. This is on Miami. This is an anonymous ACC coach on the state of the Hurricanes and what the thought process of the ACC coaches on Miami. They really looked embarrassing at times last season. Losing to that Georgia Tech team is inexcusable. They're super talented on defense because they're still Miami. I think Manny Diaz got caught trying to be too smart a few times. Like, with those athletes, why are you overthinking this thing? Just go play man coverage, get them loose. They looked so bad in that bowl game on offense. They gave up and didn't care at all. You saw it on the tape. That's because of them not being as good as they think they are. Ooh, not good as they think they are. Yeah, sounds like Miami. The offensive line was embarrassing against Florida, and they got worse because they didn't scheme to help themselves. By the time they got conference play, you kept thinking they changed things up to bail out the line, and they didn't. De'Aaron King is a freak show player, but he can't be the sole threat. If new offensive coordinator Lashley runs what he has run at previous places, they're going to get him killed without some help. They could be all over the portal again this summer. This program needs to get serious about itself. They're out in recruiting talking about swag and the smoke like it was 30 years ago. Now, don't that sound like the typical Miami? That's anonymous coaching, anonymous ACC coaches talking about the Hurricanes. This is their sentiment on FSU. This is their sentiment on Florida State and the state of and their thoughts on Mike Norvell and what's going on with Florida State. Everyone in the ACC is a little bit nervous about Mike Norvell coming into the league. This won't be an overnight fix, but it's a big name Florida school, and they can get talent in there faster than most places. You knew during Willie's era that they weren't going to be consistent or coached up. They didn't play hard, especially those last few games he was there. Right away, they can build on defense. That front seven is talented, and the secondary is good. That secondary, listen to this. That secondary is good by other schools, but maybe not Florida State standards. Offensively, we think James Blackman can fit what Mike does. It's a versatile offense that wants to be able to bend and change around what personnel can do. Blackman just made so many bad decisions last year. That's the improvement you can expect immediately. Everyone knew that Jimbo Fisher took the last years off in recruiting, but it's Florida State. You can only screw that place up so much and not be able to beat 2/3 of the conference. The downside could come in attrition. Taggart got a reputation of bringing in attitude guys, so you know you're going to see some of those guys pushed out. Mike should get 2 years, but he might not even get that. They're desperate to win again. They want to show that they're not headed down the same steady decline like Miami. The only thing I disagree in that comment about Florida State is that Mike might not get 2 years. Mike Norvell's going to get, unless he loses every game, right? But Mike Norvell's going to get at least 3 to 4 years. But I think they hit the nail on the head. ACC, they're nervous about what Mike Norvell can do in Tallahassee. And yeah, Raymond, those Miami comments had me laughing too. But the Miami comments ring so true. We've been saying that stuff about Miami for, I don't know, last 20 years. Miami act like it's still 2000, 2001. And they still got Frank Gore and Clinton Portis and Willis McGahee on the team. Like, that's the way they act. And the truth is, they're not even close to that. And now you have a 5'10" quarterback in De'Aaron King who people think is going to come in here. Because he was able to light up Conference USA at Houston. Or whatever conference Houston is in, the American Conference or whatever the case. Because he was able to do that, now they pretend like he's going to come into the ACC and run house. Like if Lashley don't have a history of being a mediocre offensive coordinator. All of a sudden he's about to be this awesome offensive coordinator. You feel me? So those ACC coaches are saying the same thing that the fans have been saying about Miami for the last 10, 15 years. They think every year they think they're so much better than they really are. And the fact is, they're poorly coached. We've been saying this about Miami since they joined the ACC. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. We've been saying this about Miami for years. And the coaches are just reiterating what everybody thinks. But they fear Norvell. They fear what Norvell can do at Florida State. So I thought those comments are pretty telling. I think because you can see, obviously they know the talent FSU has. They fear a well-coached Florida State. Right? When Jimbo Fisher was at his apex, Florida State was a well-coached, oiled machine. And that's what they fear. Miami sounds like us when we got Briles. You know, I still personally believe Briles is a better offensive mind and coordinator. Because at least Kendall Briles was able to do it. Now, granted, the Big 12 isn't known as a defensive league. But at least Kendall Briles was able to do it, right, in the Big 10, in the Big 12 at Baylor. I honestly believe Kendall Briles was handcuffed. I don't want to. I hate to point blame at whoever, whether that's Willie, but it is head coach. I think Briles was handcuffed, man. I think Briles was never even given really the opportunity, man, to run the offense the way he saw fit. I thought it was extremely telling after Taggart got fired, the first game Jordan Travis saw playing time. Tells me Jordan probably would have saw playing time if Kendall Browns had actually been given full reign of that offense. So, yeah, Kendall Browns didn't pan out for us. I still believe offensively he's a good offensive coordinator. He just didn't understand what he was signing on when he came to Florida State. Unfortunately, he didn't have a head coach. Willie wanted to be. Willie thought he was the offensive genius because of what he was able to do at South Florida with the freak show that he had at quarterback in South Florida. And Willie thought he was the offensive guru, and I don't think he ever gave Browse a real shot. Obviously, he handcuffed Harlan Barnett, making Harlan Barnett run a defense he didn't want to run. I think he did similar things with Kendall Browse. I think that was a whole entire toxic situation where no coaching chemistry existed on that staff. Tyler goes, they're just acting like an OC is going to fix their problems. Shit rolls downhill. Right. Lashley's not going to fix anything unless. Now, see, here's the thing, though. I don't think Lashley's a world beater. But if Manny Diaz gets out the way, woohoo! Kay Corbin took it to the house. If Manny Diaz gets out the way, again, it's one of the things I give Dabo Swinney tons of credit for. I don't think Dabo Swinney's a great X's and O's football coach. What he is, he's a great evaluator of talent, great evaluator of coaching ability. He's going to hire the best coach and get out the way. He's going to let Brent Venables do Brent Venable things. He's going to let Chad Morris, when he was there, run the offense how Chad Morris wants to run it. If Manny Diaz is smart, that's what he does. Let your coordinators do their job. Now, I do believe Manny Diaz is a good defensive mind, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be hands-on with that defense, and that's fine. Offensively, stay out of the way. And if Lashley is as good as you think he is, we'll see the fruits of you'll see the fruits of that labor. Willie couldn't get out of his own way. Willie wanted to control offense, defense, it's unfortunate that if Willie had just allowed Harlan to run, it's hard for me to even say Harlan Barnett is a bad defensive coordinator because when you try to fit a round peg in a square hole, you're never gonna get those results. And Willie smartened up and said, you know what, I'm gonna let Kendall Browns do what he did at Baylor and Houston, and I'm gonna let I should have fumbled that. And I'm going to let Harlan Barnett run that 4-3 the way he sees fit. Instead, he wanted to dictate every aspect of everything, and now he's over there in Boca at FAU, where that type of school, maybe that'll work for him. You know what I mean? So, it is what it is. Dabo is pretty good motivator. Dabo has good traits about him, right? I don't want to make it seem like Dabo is just terrible and he's just lucky. Obviously, you don't get the success that a Dabo Swinney has without good attributes. And motivator could definitely be one of them. Again, I think he's a great evaluator of talent and coaching hires. He knows what he wants, and then he's great at. And obviously a great recruiter, right? So, and he's great at getting out of the way and letting guys do their thing. Did you see that player retreat thing they did? Yeah. Yep. Apparently they got and that little like you said, it's a player retreat where they had dinner as a team, and then after the dinner, each position group got together and they just shared life stories. And apparently, a lot of emotions were shared in that retreat, and a lot of bonding, which is obviously is what the team needs. That's pretty cool, to see that. I don't know how much stock you can put into it as far as on the football field. You get what I'm saying? But it's good to everybody to be on the same page and whatnot. So I thought that was cool. Oh, Raymond says Coach Harlan was a fish out of water when it came to 3-4, especially not having the personnel to run it. Exactly. Exactly. Right? That's like if you like everybody, we all think Jimbo Fisher. I know Jimbo Fisher's a great offensive mind. I think Jimbo may overthink some things that can stagnate his offense at times, but ultimately, I think Jimbo's a great offensive mind. But Jimbo's a great pro-style offensive mind. Imagine if Jimbo Fisher was hired as when he was still an offensive coordinator and told you have to run the triple option. Jimbo would have been like, what are you talking about? That's essentially what Willie did to Harlan. Hired a guy who spent his entire coaching career. Ooh, he ran me straight over. Dude spent his entire coaching career doing coaching DBs and running a 4-3 cover 3 scheme. And got here, and in his second year was told, I know we don't have the personnel, but we're going to run a 3-4 anyway. None of these kids have been recruited to play the 3-4, but we're going to run it anyway. Like, man. Don't know what Taggart was thinking, man. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Taggart called FSU his dream job. And to this day, I'm not even sure I believe it. Because he didn't treat it like a dream job. He treated Florida State like if he was going to be here for the next 15 years and could just lackadaisically take his time and do what the hell he wanted to do. Didn't understand Taggart's approach. To this day, I can't wrap my head around his approach on running the football team. And as you can see, I'm in this close game here with West Virginia. They can't stop me on offense, and I can't stop them. So. The O-line is holding up fairly well. Speaking of O-line, I think that's the one position group that, all eyes are on, obviously. We've had a bad offensive line the last few years. They're still working on finding a 5-man front. Raptor, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Tyler says, it seems like the team is focused on a ton of special teams during practice. I know they only have a few more weeks of practice, but when I play football, we don't practice special teams that frequently. I think I don't know the mindset, obviously. I'm not there. I think maybe they see that's a major weakness on the team, so they want to address it. They missed the entire spring, obviously, so you gotta. They're playing catch up and they're trying to figure some things out. I'm not sure they're sure who's going to be kick returning and punt returning. So maybe that's it. I wouldn't worry about that too much. That's also. I also believe. So this could be a thing. Again, I have no inside knowledge of this. This kind of a theory of mine. Maybe you're practicing a lot of special teams to see who really cares and who doesn't, right? Because we all take special teams for granted. Because they're only... The fact is, your special teams are only on the field a fraction for any given football game. Special teams are only on the field, you punt? Like, even in a bad football game, what are you going to punt? 6-7 times a game? kick field goals only after, so all that stuff. Your special teams are only on the field for a minute amount of time. Maybe their thought process is, let's overload them on some special team stuff because we can still work blocking and stuff like that. Let's see who's really locked in. If you're willing to give your all on the special teams, we know you'll give your all on the actual position that you were recruited to play. So maybe that makes sense. And I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but maybe that's a thought process. Pope, they're killing you on your defense. I know. I'm talking to y'all, but see, they can't stop me either. So we might just be in for a shootout here today, fellas. Purdy's been good so far. Let me see. I think Purdy's got 2 touchdown throws. He's been balling so far this game. No interceptions. 6 for 9, 100 yards, 2 TDs. Yep, there you go. So Purdy's getting it. Corbin's already over 100 yards rushing. So they can't stop me on offense, but I can't seem to, for whatever reason, stop them either. So this is going to be tough. If you're talking about how Purdy's played in practice, he's hurt. My bad, Rapper. Didn't know if you was talking about the game or practice, but if you're talking about practice, he's hurt. He's hurt. Don't think it's as serious as people think, but so there's your answer. In real life, he's hurt. On the game, he's balling out of control. And I can't seem to stop West Virginia's offense for the life of me. I think they said tomorrow for the scrimmage they're going to be working on more situational type stuff. If I had to guess, 4th and shorts or 2-minute drills, 3rd and long type situations. I think that's what you're going to see. Pope, you like the rosters? Yeah. Jalen, what's going on, Jalen, by the way? Good to see you. Me and my homies, we do a little online dynasty, and I use those rosters in that dynasty. So they're okay. Tamarion Terry runs, on that roster, Tamarion Terry runs like an 89 or 87. I think that's BS. There's no, Tamarion Terry is, in real life, he's a 4.3. Gotta believe it. And on the game, how is he only an 89? He should be at least a 90-something plus, right? So, and they got James Black in the 87 overall. Yeah. So there's some things I would change, but for the most part, man, I think the rosters are pretty solid. Thanks for that, Jalen. See, I can't stop him. See if we can get this 3rd and out. Raptor, I haven't been in the chat in a while, so I haven't had your opinion on the Florida State schedule. So, thanks for that. Raptor, you reminded me. We replaced Sanford with Jacksonville State. Got to stop. Yes. So that's cool. I was hoping maybe another Florida school. But I think Jacksonville State, that's solid. You still get that game. I was hoping for like a FAMU, something different, something, especially in this times where everybody's about the pandemic. I think that FAMU game should have been easy to make. I don't know if maybe FAMU didn't want it or what the deal is with that. But Jacksonville State has been a replacement for Sanford on the schedule, so that's solid news. FSU also put out some information like fans will be allowed to tailgate this year. So you will be allowed to tailgate. Now, I believe it's still 25% maximum capacity in the stadium. And they actually put out a bunch of rules and stuff for tailgating that I didn't look at. I didn't read over it. But I do know that they will allow people to tailgate. So, that's your thing and you want to go. Maybe you can't get in the game, but you want to sit in the parking lot and do your thing. That'd be cool. That would be cool to see. How you feel about the new bye before Miami? So I didn't see that. No blood. What's going on, brother? Just getting in from work. That's what's up. So I actually didn't see that. I didn't look at the entirety of the schedule, Tyler. I just saw that we replaced replaced Sanford with Jacksonville State. A new bye before Miami. Ultimately, that's a good thing. That's still a good thing. I also think that's a way to kind of get Miami's a big game. You know, that possibly do the proper testing and all that before the Miami game. Because if I'm not mistaken, we go to Miami this year. I know Miami's been kind of a hot spot for COVID. I think you give them that bye week, they make the proper precautions in going down there in Miami, that type of deal. I would assume that's why that happened that way. So I'm all for it. It's good stuff. Pope, I don't think the SWAC is playing any football, so that could be why we didn't get like a FAMU or a Bethune. So that kind of makes sense. So yeah, okay, good information, Raymond. I can just tell this game will finish. Yeah, this game's gonna be a shootout, man. This game's gonna be got Terry. Let's go. Yeah, this game's gonna be a shootout. Like I said, they can't stop me. And I just stopped them for the first time last series, but they've been pretty decent on offense as well. Tyler says the bye was after Miami, but now that it's Jacksonville State and Sanford game is now. Okay, so that's cool. Again, I think it can work out for the best. I don't think it's that big of an issue. If anything, give those guys an extra week to focus in on Miami at practice. I don't even know who's Miami's first few games. Do they have an easy schedule to start off with? I think they start their season off with UAB. Look at this. I'm gonna tell you right now, if Miami don't put up 50 on UAB, they trash. The way they talking, and you got this De'Aaron King, and you got all. Look at this. You won't go down. Look at that, man. If Miami don't put up 50 on UAB, they can cancel the damn season as far as I'm concerned. Bro, they are killing me with these out routes. Like, we can't play man for whatever reason. Ridiculous. I'm mad UCF is playing Georgia Tech and not Florida State or Miami. So UCF, now somebody correct me if I'm wrong. USF, I know USF has played us multiple times. We've played USF multiple times. USF has played the Gators. I know for a fact at least once. I think they've probably played the Gators multiple times. Don't know if USF has ever played Miami or not. Now, anybody correct me. Has UCF ever played one of the big three? I don't think UCF has ever played one of the big three Florida schools. Why is that? Why is UCF ducking the big three? I would have loved to play UCF myself. Man, come on! I don't think UCF has ever played any of the big three Florida schools. Matter of fact, I'm about to Google it. I'm almost positive they have it, though. UCF versus... Let's start with UF. Florida Gators versus University of Central Florida. So the last time they played was in 2006. So that's what, the Tebow era, if I'm not mistaken, right there. And they won. Florida won 42-0. They've played a total of 2 times. UCF in Florida. They've only ever played 2 times. So they've only played Florida 2 times. Last time was in 2006. Let's see, UCF versus UM football. Well, we're in Miami. If Michigan popped up. They've played in basketball, but I don't think they've ever played in football. Well, here we go. They've played twice. Last time being in 2009, 27-7. They've only ever played twice as well. And then UCF versus FSU football. Now, I don't think we've ever played them. I can't recall us ever playing UCF, but we've played them once in 95. So, again, UCF has been ducking the Big Three. They don't want any parts of the Big Three. They enjoy beating up on the AAC or whatever and then claiming national championships that don't even belong to them. Yeah. UCF be ducking the Big Three schools, man. I think back to 2000s, but I don't know. Forsyth only played them once. Yep, we only played them once in 95. They ducking. Let's hope we don't give up the Hail Mary. Oh, hell. Did he catch it? He caught it. Thank God it came to halftime, man. He caught that garbage. All right, let's get the halftime show. Get back to the game. We played USF one time when Bowden was coaching. We've played USF a few times. Noel, we've played USF. We played them in the Bowden era. We played them in the Jimbo Fisher era when Dalvin Cook ran for like 200 some yards on them. Willie Taggart was actually coaching that USF team. So we've played USF recently as well. We played USF a few times. So again, I know we've played USF, and I know USF has played all of the Big Three schools, but for whatever reason, the UCF, man, they don't like playing the big. They rather play Stanford, like Raptor said. They'd rather play Stanford instead of playing the Florida schools. We've played USF a few times. FSU versus USF. I mean, we've played. So we played USF 4 times. And last time was in 2016 was the last time we played them. So I mean, hell, that's 3 more times more than UCF. So give USF props there. For whatever reason, UCF don't want no smoke. Dennis. Hello, Dennis. The Mike Norvell era consists of 5 and 7 seasons and trips to the peanut butter and jelly bowl. Dennis, did you hear about what the coaches had to say about Miami? Did you hear about what the ACC coaches think about Manny Diaz and the state of the Miami program right now? Riddle me that, Dennis. No answer from Dennis. Dennis know what's up. I'm going to just keep this running game trucking because they can't really stop Jay Sean Corbin. Look at that. Ugh. Keep this running game going. We got a good little conversation going on. We talking football while I'm playing the game in the background. Got Chubba Purdy running all over the place. Hey, Dennis, when Miami make it to at least an ACC championship, then talk. Last I checked, FSU has 17. That's... Wait a minute. Say that again, Dennis. Dennis said the state of Miami's program is ACC championship. Never had one of those. Playoff appearance. Never had one of those. And natty wins. Okay, you got a few of those from, 20 years ago. Majority of those are actually from 30 to 40 years ago. Half of your fan base wasn't even alive the last time Miami won the national championship. Matter of fact, the guys you guys are recruiting right now weren't even alive the last time Miami won a national championship. Miami hasn't been great since the starter jackets were hot. Yeah. Miami ain't been good since Jerry Curl was a thing. Dennis probably used to rock a Jerry. Dennis used to rock a Jerry Curl back in the day. I bet Dennis was rocking a Jerry Curl. Man, the ACC was so watered down when FSU won those championships. How many Big East championships did y'all win, Dennis? If you want to talk about how watered down the ACC was, because the Big East wasn't this gauntlet of a conference. How many Big East championships? Let's look it up. I'll look it up, Dennis. Don't worry. Dennis used to rock a Jerry Curl? No, Poke, I got waves. You got waves now, but see, waves wasn't in style when Miami was actually a good program. Jerry Curls were in style, so you probably had a Jerry Curl. Miami, Big East. Come on, shit. Big East titles. Miami only had 9 Big East championships. That's it. How many years were y'all even in the Big East? Let's see. I don't know how many years y'all were in the Big East, but we'll see if we can find that out. Y'all were in the Big East from 91 to 2003. So what is that? 11 years? So 9 out of the 11 years you won the Big East. Well, congratulations, Dennis. But again, the Big East wasn't a great conference. So if you want to talk about watered down conferences, who was who was the best team in the Big East outside of Miami? What, 1 or 2 years with Michael Vick and Virginia Tech? And that's it. The ACC was watered down at the time like they weren't in the ACC. Big East conference titles don't count in the ACC. Miami, no blood raw, baby. Raymond says Virginia Tech. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know Virginia Tech obviously was good for a couple years with Michael Vick. Because obviously we played them in the national championship game. Trying to think. Outside of Virginia Tech, for a few years, what other Big East team was doing anything? And as a matter of fact, Virginia Tech has more ACC titles than Miami. So I can make the argument that Virginia Tech was the Big East, was the team that was holding the Big East down. Polk Syracuse with Donovan McNabb was in the Big East. Okay, so Syracuse for a year with McNabb. Got it. So we got Virginia Tech a couple years, Syracuse a couple years. And that's it. What's going on, Rap? And that is it. And let's see, when FSU was running the ACC. But see, there's a difference. Like, when FSU was running the ACC, it didn't even matter whether the ACC was good or not. We just were so dominant. And then we still had to run the gauntlet through the state of Florida. Because unlike Miami and unlike the Gators, we play both of our rivals year in and year out. So we had to play good Florida teams and good Miami teams year out. So you can't question. And we were in our out-of-conference schedules. Like, that's the thing, right? Go check Florida State's out-of-conference schedules back then. We were playing Notre Dame when Notre Dame was Notre Dame. We were going to the big house and whooping up on Michigan. FSU would play anybody, anywhere, anytime. Bro, what was that, Jerry Jones? Raptor says, do you think Florida State would ever leave the ACC for I wish they would, Raptor. I've been hoping Florida State would leave this conference for a while now. The ACC completely disrespects Bobby Bowden. I was just reading Dennis's comment. I'll get back to that in a minute. The ACC completely disrespects Florida State. Like, if this university wasn't the only university doing anything for this conference in the moneymaker sport. ACC's always been a basketball school, so we know Duke and North Carolina, they're like the ACC's love affair. They have a love affair with Duke and North Carolina. But to disrespect FSU the way that this conference has, from a football standpoint, when we've been the only football team in town for majority of the ACC's existence. I wish they would join the SEC for a few reasons. Mainly the money. The SEC network is huge. The reason why these SEC schools are doing as well as they are is the money. The way they split the money up from the network and all of that. FSU would prosper in the SEC. Florida would never go for it. Because as of right now, the truth is the only edge, right? You're take Florida State at their best. You take University of Florida at their best. The only thing that gives that Florida job, um, the only thing that gives that Florida job an up over Florida State, and I do believe that I do believe Florida. Just an unbiased opinion. I think Florida is a better job than Florida State. That's only because of the conference and the support that they get from the conference. So Florida would never go for it. ACC should trade Florida State and Miami to the SEC for South Carolina and Kentucky. Actually, I think if you were going to do a trade like that, what I would do, I would keep South Carolina because of their Clemson rivalry. I would get rid of, I kind of agree with you on Kentucky. Yeah, since the ACC is a basketball conference anyway, I would throw Kentucky in there to the ACC, and then I would trade out Vanderbilt from the SEC and throw them in the ACC. That's what I would do. Get rid of Kentucky and Vanderbilt, add Florida State and Miami. Woo! We're talking about big-time football. Miami has done nothing to join in 2004. Pope, you used to play the top teams every week after week. Top 10 opponents, not in the Big East Conference. How can you win the ACC ship if you're on probation half the time in the conference? That's y'all fault for being on probation. That's y'all fault for being on probation. A self-imposed probation at that. But that's y'all fault. Y'all had Shapiro down there throwing strippers and cocaine to the players. What the hell y'all think was gonna happen? And Raptor said, Dennis says, Raptor, that sound hella good. Yeah, I would just trade out South Carolina for Vanderbilt. Because, again, South Carolina's got a built-in rivalry with Clemson. So I think you keep them in the SEC. But Vanderbilt, get them out of there. And Kentucky's a basketball school, so they would fit in perfectly with the North Carolinas and the Dukes of the world. And even though FSU's becoming a basketball school, right? So that's, is what it is. But first and foremost, FSU's a football school. I root for the basketball program, don't get me wrong, but, bro, 90% of the Florida State fans that you will meet didn't become a Florida State fan by watching the basketball team. You know how they became a Florida State fan? They became a Florida State fan by watching that guy up there, Warwick Dunn, Charlie Ward, and the crew. That's what started a lot of these kids being Florida State fans, man. Or a lot of these fans. I won't say kids. Obviously got some grown men. Only if Penn State was in the Big East with Miami. That would have made the Big East better for sure. 6ix9ine and Shapiro, the biggest snitches in the last 20 years. Word. Oh, Chubba, let's go. Let's go. FSU basketball will run the SEC. Pretty much, Tyler, yeah. And if we did make that switch, like you said, FSU basketball would run the SEC too. Because if you get rid of Kentucky, who else you got? If you get rid of Kentucky, I don't think you got really anything else over there. Let's go, Warren. Nice. Warren with the most. Hell, Missouri would be out. SEC would keep Vandy because of academic side of the game. Okay. So what you would... But see, the Missouri doesn't fit the ACC theme I was kind of going for. If anything, you throw Missouri back in the Big 12 where they came from. But I can kind of see Missouri. I kind of get where you're going for right there. You want to keep that one prominent academic institute. in the SEC. But I mean, Miami can be that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, academically, we know Miami is very high academic school itself. So yeah, like Raptor says, I don't think that Missouri in the ACC makes much sense. Raptor, we used to play Penn State every year, even though they wasn't in the conference. Now go check your history. True, Dennis, but the conference would make it better. I've quietly scored 42 points in this game, or really not even paying much attention. Raptor, just toss them out anyway. Throw them BA. I just thought, throw them back in the Big 12. I agree with that. I don't. Missouri was one of the schools I never understood why they joined the SEC to begin with. Personally, like you were barely competing. Come on, Tate. You were barely competing in the Big 12, and now you're going to go to the SEC, and you pretty much see it in the program. They made one SEC championship, which is one more than Miami's ever made in the ACC. So they have that going for them. But Missouri, could be. Come on, Sante. Yeah, Missouri and the SEC never made sense to me, and you can see it. They don't really compete like that. If they kept Vandy and got FSU Miami, the SEC would be crazy good baseball conference. SEC is already a really good baseball conference, but yeah, I mean, Georgia's usually really good in baseball. Georgia's really good in baseball, so that would definitely be a good baseball conference, and it's already a good baseball conference. So yeah, I agree with that, Tyler. You remember when Bobby Biden ran out of the 50-yard line and said, "Damn it, Miami, done beat us again"? Dennis, you're doing it. You're doing exactly what they said. You're talking up. Let me read this anonymous quote. I got to do it, Dennis, because you just fall into the trap. You Miami fans continue to talk about Bobby ain't been in Florida State for how long now? 10 years? 10? I don't know. He last coached. I think Bobby last coached in was it 07, 06? But anyway, this is what an ACC coach said this about Miami. This program needs to get serious about itself. They're out here in recruiting talking about swag and smoke like it's 30 years ago. You still talking about 30 years ago, Dennis. Come on, man. Come on. Let it go. You got to let that go. Like I said, Miami has not done anything to join the ACC. Raptor indeed. Unpopular opinion. Texas, TCU, and Oklahoma State will eventually join the SEC. I don't know how, but I think it will happen in the future. Texas, I don't see happening. I say that because Texas has its, and this all is coming down to like networks and stuff. Texas, which is one of the reasons why Texas A&M, Nebraska, and I guess you throw Missouri in there. One of the reasons in Colorado, one of the reasons why those four schools dropped out of the Big 12 was because the Longhorns have their own entire network called the Longhorn Network. And they don't have to split that revenue up with anybody. Now, teams like Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, they didn't care about that. They got long money themselves, right? But some of those other programs, they wanted a piece of that pie, and they weren't able to get it. Now, A&M's money's long, but it made more financial sense for them to go to SEC and get even more money on top of the school's money. So I don't think Texas would have to get rid of the Longhorn Network. I don't think Texas is a real plausible just from a network thing. I don't really think Texas would drop their own network and join the SEC network. I would say that Texas doesn't really need the SEC. Neither does Oklahoma. Do I think the SEC will eventually? I think the Big Five in general will eventually expand. I've been saying it for a long time. I think you're going to have a situation where you're not going to have a bunch of like the FIUs and the FAUs. They're going to be competing for their own thing. Um, I think the Power Five is eventually going to break away from the NCAA anyway. And if you want to be a part of that, you're going to have to join on one of these Power Five conferences. I will say this: Raptor, if what you saying like is what you come to fruition, then the Big 12 would cease to exist. Um, you go to a Power Four. If the SEC was able to add, those four schools. Those are huge schools. The ACC would have to add, and I don't even know who the ACC or the Big Ten could add to compete with that type of a conference. You know what I mean? Notre Dame, I think, obviously would eventually join the ACC. That would have to happen. I think a team like a Boise or something would eventually join like the Pac-12. If I'm West Virginia and those teams leave, I then go to the SEC, the ACC. So the if the Big 12 was to collapse, that'd be kind of interesting. Look at that, Miami going toe to toe with Clemson. De'Aaron King doing this thing, I guess. It won't happen in real life though, Dennis. Sorry. Tyler says the NCAA's time is running out. Yes, I 100% agree with that. Hold on, I missed some comments. Polk, don't forget when Darrell Langham beat FSU to start this 4-game streak we on. Dennis, you know how we lost? You know what started the 4-game streak? McFadden, sorry ass, couldn't play corner. That's what started the streak. I ain't giving y'all no credit. McFadden was trash, man. Period. No blooded says, Dennis, how many AC titles and playoffs appearances Miami has? NCAA's time is running out. I agree the Power 5 will leave soon. By the year 2024, the Miami FSU record will be 8-7. What a hell of an 8-game win streak. Oh, my God. Or maybe this 4 schools to the Pac-12. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Raptor, I believe there were talks at one point between, I think, Texas and the Pac-12. I just don't think Texas is in a rush to leave the Big 12 because they essentially own it. Even if Oklahoma's the best team and has been consistently the best team, Texas pretty much kind of can do what they want in the Big 12. So there's that. I think Cincinnati will find themselves in the Power 5. The only one that makes sense for Cincinnati would be the Big. Teams like a Memphis, a Cincinnati, some of these pretty Boise. I'll throw UCF in there. Those are teams that if they want to play football, I think eventually they're going to have to join the Power 5 conference. Now, I can see a UCF and a USF in like the ACC, especially if like a Florida State was to break off from the ACC and the Miami, they would replace those two schools easily. Cincinnati would be interesting to know where they would go. But it almost seems like the Big Ten would be the only conference they could go to. BYU, yeah, Tyler, that's another school. BYU. Trying to think of some other kind of big time group of five schools. But yeah, BYU's one. Houston, I think Houston is another one. You could see Houston go to like the Big 12 or maybe even the SEC. Then it says, that's real Polk. Miami 35, Clemson 28. Polk wasn't McFadden a preseason All-American. McFadden was a preseason trash bag. That's what McFadden was, Dennis. I was never a fan of him. Always thought he was too slow and stiff. And it is what it is on McFadden. What's good, Polk? I just like that score. Just tuned in while sitting here at work. Thanks for tuning in for real. I ain't got nothing going on, man. So I figured we do a little gaming. And we talking some football, too. So we got Louisville up next. I've been on for an hour. Yeah, I'll play another game because why not? Ain't got nothing else going on. And y'all in here. We in here kicking it. What am I drink? Raymond says, you're correct, Polk, about Texas talks going to the Pac-12, too. Yeah, I remember correctly, Texas was close to eventually joining the Pac-12. Which I think they would fit right into the Pac-12. Texas and Oklahoma, to me, fit right into the Pac-12 more so than the SEC because they have explosive offenses, but play no lick of defense. So they fit right into the Pac-12, I think. UCF, USF, Cincinnati, Boise State, San Diego State's another one. SMU, Memphis are big non-power 5 schools. Yeah, those are the group 5 schools that I think you would, definitely consider. If they want to continue to play big-time football, would have to join one of the Power 5. I would throw Houston in there, BYU in there. Like you said, UCF, USF. I think that's about it, though. I might be forgetting one or two schools, but those are pretty much the schools. Matter of fact, let's check out some schools here since we talking. Right? If you go to the American Navy, I don't ever see any of the military schools going to Power 5. There's SMU. We already talked about Tulane, nah. Tulsa, nah. East Carolina, I think, is kind of interesting. They traditionally have been a pretty solid group of 5 school. And I can see them in like the ACC. I think East Carolina could be a possibility. Temple could be a possibility in like the Big Ten. We already talked about Cincinnati, USF. UConn, no. Even UConn's a big time school, especially basketball wise, but they're independent now. And they just that football program at UConn has plummeted drastically. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 4 or 5 years that UConn don't even have a football program anymore, and they strictly focus on basketball, like a Villanova, a school like that, because that football program has been a shit show to watch, to be quite honest with you. Let's go to Conference USA. Louisiana Tech is an interesting proposition. Southern Miss has a history of being a solid group of 5 school. I think Marshall would fit right in. Just from the name standpoint. Marshall could fit right in. You already know about Notre Dame, who I think will eventually be ACC. Now, I don't think any MAC school has enough clout. Yeah, I don't think any of these MAC schools have enough clout. The only one that could possibly, yeah, not even. I was gonna say, you know, maybe a Bowling Green or something, but even then, no. Mountain West has a few schools. We already talked about Boise. Hawaii, I think, would fit right in with the Pac-12. It'd be interesting. You could do Utah State because you got Utah already. We already mentioned San Diego State. Fresno State. Fresno and Boise used to be the top two like Group of 5 schools year in and year out. I think Fresno would have a great argument to join the Pac-12, and even a Nevada. And then we'll just finish off with the Sun Belt. And now there's not a Sun Belt team that I would. Yeah. So there you go. A few schools just to kind of look at when we talk about potentially joining one of these big conferences. Look at De'Aaron King, second in the country in passing yards. Ja'Shawn Corbin leads. Who's Robert? Who's our Corbin? All right. Let's get this Louisville game started and stop wasting time. Let's do a little bit of recruiting and get this Louisville game started. We'll see where we at on the comments. Raptor says the only issue is like Texas traveling to Washington State. That's worse than what West Virginia does now. Yeah, I never understood the West Virginia and the Big 12. They pretty much have to travel week in and week out to Texas to play football. But yeah, West Washington and Texas would suck. It would definitely suck. I feel when the Power 5 lose NCAA, independent teams will join. They're gonna have no choice but to join a conference. If the Power 5 breaks away, Notre Dame will be a full-time ACC member. That's gonna happen. I mean, they're already a full-time ACC member in basketball. Right now, they're not pressed to join a conference. Because they don't need to. They don't need to. Right now, they're not pressed to join a conference as of right now. Let's see what we got. But if they were to break away, definitely Notre Dame would instantly join. And I can't think of who else would be. I don't know the update list of all the independent schools. I know UConn's independent, but like I said, I think that's a program that's on the verge of collapse. I think BYU's independent. Which I never understood why BYU left the Mountain West. Yeah, I don't see any military academies or Ivy Leagues going Power 5. No. But what I do, so Ivy League, you could see, right, if you got the Power 5 break off on the NCAA, you could see, maybe you'll see a Harvard or something try to take that leap into the non-group of 5 schools and play with some of those schools. That would be a possibility. You could see some of the Ivy League schools try to get up in there and play with the Tulanes and the Tulsas of the world, or the FIUs, FAUs. Raptors laughing at East Carolina. What about someone like Colorado State? Colorado State would probably be a Pac-12 school. I mean, something like when some of these schools left their conferences, it kind of killed some of. And I think Colorado and Colorado State still play their annual rivalry, so it would make sense for that. And then Raptor asks, what does Florida State need in game? We're talking about recruiting, man. We need offensive line, and offensive line. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at some of these offensive line targets. Raptor says he'll be right back. Okay, well, you might miss this conversation in Raptor. Well, let's go to. We got 4 tackles on our board. 6'6" out of Bayshore Gardens. Casey Donaldson. We are leading for him. We need that one, man. 76 overall. Yeah, we need you. Then we got 3-star AJ Jenkins out of, what is that? Michigan? Kalamazoo. Oh, we can schedule a visit with this one. Okay, we'll schedule Boston College. What about you? We can schedule Boston College. Then we got John Williams. There we go. 6'3", 324 out of North Miami Beach. And then 6'6", 306 out of Pennsylvania, Raymond Harrison. We are first for all of these guys except for John Williams, who are in a battle with USF4. So we looking kind of good on this tackle. We're looking kind of good on this tackle stuff. Guard, Freddie Golden out of Decatur, Georgia. That's a close battle all the way up there, so we're still in the thick of things for this guy. Dustin Shaw. Schedule a visit here. .65", 304 out of Sarasota. We're beating Miami for him. And then Ryan Davis out of Georgia. Georgia Tech's gotten a nod there. So we are, this offensive line, man. At center, we got James Smith out of Alabama. That's a tough one. And then Jerome Boyd out of Plant City. Almost visiting time for him. That's defensive ends. Let's see. Tyler goes, well, funny thing is that if they leave their Ivy League, they're no longer Ivy League. Oh, really? That's how that works, even in sports? I guess so. I guess that would make, like, if a HBCU was to leave, like the SWAC or something, I get, but they would still be HBCUs. I don't know. That's interesting. Let's do this the easy way. Okay, so there we go. The Ivy League is called the Ivy League because of football scheduling, I got you, Tyler. Makes sense. Let's get this Louisville game started. All right, here we go. We are on the road against Louisville. Look how bad our offense is. Matter of fact, let's change some uniforms up. Let's see what they got. That's all Louisville got? I thought they don't have the updated uniforms. I want to see some all blacks or something. All right, let's go. Go ahead and hit the like button, folks, if you haven't already. Like always, thank y'all for tuning in to me. We about to get in here and we about to whoop up on some Cardinals. That's what we do. Just need FSU to start winning so that hotbed of South Georgia players start going back to Tallahassee. Yeah, that Valdosta area. Ultimately, man, we need we need this more than any other. We need this season to happen. But the NCAA did release some good news. Um, this year, whether you play football or not, will not count against your eligibility. So essentially, James Blackman may never have to leave Florida State at this rate, because James Blackman, I believe, is a redshirt junior, and next year, guess what he'll be? A redshirt junior. Even if FSU plays a full 10-game schedule, or whatever the schedule is this year, it will not count against anybody's eligibility. Theoretically, this isn't going to happen. Theoretically, Marvin Wilson, who's a senior, could play this year and then play again. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen because Marvin's going pro, period. But he could if he wanted to. UGA has done anything with them. UGA doesn't. I would say this about that South Georgia area. Most of those kids don't grow up Bulldog fans. Most of those kids grow up Seminoles. Also, the NCAA say they will not interfere with any team playing any amount of games this season. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying, Tyler. That's like, that's big news. I think that's good news. I like that the NCAA is looking out. One Dub, what's going on, bro? What's happening, Polk? Man, I miss playing this game. Hey, I had to break it out. Get back into it. Got Chuba out here running over folk. But back to you, Tyler. I think that's a good look from the NCAA. See, the NCAA, I believe, they kind of understand where things are going. So they're trying to appease the players, the universities, by making decisions like this. Because the NCAA of old wouldn't make this type of decision. But they know what's going on right now, and they know the Power Five is at a tipping point with them. And that's why, if you've noticed, the NCAA, they've been approving pretty much everybody's transfer request. They are in eggshells. NCAA's on eggshells right now, and they do not want. God dog it! I should have put more air on that one. They don't want to tick off the Power Five conference. They said if the NCAA tried to keep the SEC or AC from playing, they might as well. That's what I'm saying. That's why the NCAA has not came out. Ooh, they got offsides. That's why the NCAA has not came out and demanded nobody play football. That's why they've left it up to the conference. Because the moment the NCAA goes, ACC, you can't play because we said so. Bye-bye. You've completely alienated the conference. That's it. That's the first domino to fall. Once the NCAA does that, that'll be the first domino to fall. And once other conferences see, well, hell, the ACC and the SEC don't need the NCAA to be successful, bye-bye. NCAA's done as we know it. So they're not going to do that. And they're going to allow these kids to keep eligibility and honor all the transfer requests. So, again, Raymond James says, I'm one of them. My hometown had just as many UF and FSU fans. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that South Georgia, man, they not a lot of Bulldog fans in that area. A lot of Gator fans and a lot of Florida State fans. understood the Georgia hype. I know it's a well-funded university, but for Georgia to be really the only show in the state, because Georgia Tech's academically never really competed, for Georgia to be the only real show in the state and to not have won a championship since what is that? What happened? To not have won a championship since 1980. Some programs are just meant to be mediocre at best. What do you think about what does the NCAA do? I think the NCAA is going to continue to do what they've done. They're not going to make any mandates. Now, what they will do as far as they'll say generic testing mandates and stuff like that. They got to NCAA's got to say something to appear in control. But when it comes to actually playing football, yeah, I don't think they're going to interfere. They would have already. Georgia Tech is a much better school than UGA. Academically, yep. Look, so this the thing, man. And I've said this for years about Georgia Tech, and I understand the academics, but Georgia Tech is in the heart of Atlanta. Imagine if that university would get serious about playing football. Georgia Tech, to me, is a sleeping giant in college football. Ain't too many schools in the heart of Atlanta. That's the black capital, of America, of the South for sure. And Georgia Tech just kind of, imagine Florida State in the heart of like imagine if Miami was actually in Miami, like, and not Coral Gables, something like that. Georgia Tech's in the heart of Atlanta, and they don't take their academics. They take their academics more serious than their sports, which is all good and dandy. I'm not, But imagine if they would just focus all that resources into that program. Oh my God. They can make serious waves. Raptor, you didn't really miss much. You just started the Louisville game. Does it make sense to play spring ball? No. No blood makes no sense. We talked about this before. I talked about this not too long ago, actually. The whole spring schedule makes no sense. And I don't think it's going to happen. I messed up. Damn it. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think spring ball is going to happen. I think that's just an excuse they're handing out there to keep people, to keep these kids engaged and keep people kind of quiet. So they came out with the rules in the Big Ten and whatnot that these kids can still practice. They can still go through the motions as if they're playing football. Just what's the point of still going to practice and all that and not playing games? I think that's the way to try to keep these kids to keep practicing and whatnot. But no, spring ball to me hasn't made sense since I heard it, and it's not going to make sense. Because none of the kids that's going pro are going to play. And put it to you like this. If the Big Ten is really going to play football in the spring, then Ohio State might as well Justin Fields might as well declare right now, and Ohio State might as well get whoever the backup is ready to play. There's no need for Justin Fields to even be on campus right now if they're going to play spring ball. Because he ain't playing spring. That boy going to get ready for the combine and go to the draft. And there's a lot of guys like that. Spring ball hasn't made sense to me since I heard it. I'm saying as an organization in general, what does the NCAA do? Make rules, restrict players. They're completely unnecessary. Oh, yeah, yeah. Good point, Tyler. The only thing the NCAA has ever served purpose with is like handing down, um, that's a little glitch right there. It's handing down damn sanctions, stuff like that. NCAA, I agree, serves ultimately no purpose. And I think the conferences have begun to figure that out. And that's why I think there's a tide shifting, and you will see it here in the near future. The ACC can govern itself. ACC commissioner can hand out punishment and restrictions. The SEC commissioner can do the same thing. They don't need the NCAA. The conferences can govern themselves. That was trash. Co-national champs in 1990, Georgia Tech. Yep. And like I said, imagine if it being in the heart of Atlanta, if that program would take it seriously. Could be scary. The college and big locations could do so much, but the majorities don't care. Right, they don't care. Good stop. Good stop. The school that look out for in Georgia is Georgia State. Georgia State is the largest university in Georgia. You put a good coach in there that can recruit well, you can build a monster. Is that so? I didn't know that. I didn't know they were the largest. I didn't know that, Tyler. Here's the thing about a Georgia State, though. It doesn't have that nostalgia, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Georgia State doesn't have. You hear Georgia State and it doesn't, ring. Eyes don't pop. You know what I'm saying? It's not a name brand. That's what I'm trying to say. Georgia State, right? Georgia Bulldogs with the G on the helmet is a name brand. It's a recognizable brand that these kids will recognize. Even the Yellow Jacket is somewhat of a name brand, right? I don't even know Georgia State's mascot. Is it that eagle? I think. Georgia State, the eagle. That's... It could be built, but that's, honestly, that's probably a 10, 20-year building job if we're talking Georgia State. Damn. Did you hear the rumor that Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Michigan could make their own conference so they can play football? The Big Ten said no, but who knows? So I do know, Raptor, when they initially canceled the season, that was a lot of talk that the major schools were pissed. But since then, the major schools have all kind of quieted down on that, pulling out of the Big Ten and doing their own thing. But that was an initial, that was like an initial reaction of the big schools. I did hear that. Georgia Tech was pretty good through the 90s, and then things has gone in the toilet. What happened? So one of the things that happened with Georgia Tech, man, is they were running that damn triple options in the 2000s. Bro, the triple option, while effective, that is an effective offense to run, especially when it's run right way and coached right. Triple option is almost about as, can be really like undefendable, if I'm saying that right. Triple option can be really nasty. However, the offense is outdated. Kids don't want to run the triple option. When we're talking about making money in the league, you ain't running the triple option. And you're not gonna get the top kid in the nation by recruiting players to run the triple option. You may get some solid running backs. You're not gonna get a quarterback. You're not gonna get any real offensive lineman because if I'm a tackle, I can't show my pass blocking ability, which is gonna get me paid, in a triple option. That is what killed Georgia Tech. Running that damn triple option under Paul Johnson. That's what killed Georgia Tech. And we'll see if they ever recover from that. Georgia State has by far the largest enrollment of any university. Everybody's parents in Georgia went to Georgia State. They are building a solid baseball and basketball program. So you get enough money behind that. Yeah, Georgia's, but again, that's a 10, 20-year build. Doesn't mean it can't happen. It's not going to be an overnight success. Where I think Georgia Tech, you get the right coach in Georgia Tech, playing the right brand of football, that could be an overnight success. If you can't convince kids to come to Atlanta, then you can't recruit. That's all I'm gonna say. Georgia State's the Panthers. Okay. Georgia Southern's the Eagles. Yeah. Okay. I know this is not an NBA channel, but damn, the Jazz beating the Nuggets 90-60. Hey, I watch basketball too, Raptor, so it's all good. Keep me updated on that. Don't the Lakers? No, the Lakers played last night, so I think the Clippers play today. My team sucks, so I don't. I'm a Knicks fan. And guess what? I became a Knicks fan because Charlie Ward was the point guard there. That and my dad was a Knicks fan, so I became a Knicks fan. That's the only orange and blue I ever root for. And we suck, so. Imagine running triple option with the 5-star wide receiver. Yeah, like your boy, Megatron. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? What was... That's, and I think I saw an interview, don't know for sure, but I think Megatron I think Calvin Johnson chose Georgia State was, not Georgia State, but Georgia Tech. I think it was for the athletics. If I'm not mistaken, that's one of the reasons why he ended up going to, that's why he ended up going there. But that brand of football, man, it hinders how successful that program could have actually been.
Should be makeable. Florida State is hoping to make this a 2-score game.
Oh man, I messed up. Not paying attention. I didn't even adjust the damn thing. Oh man. Tyler says, I agree. Georgia Tech is the more immediate threat. Georgia State is a team to keep an eye on. If they want a good football program, they have the money to make it. Out-of-state kids go to UGA and Georgia Tech. The in-state kids go to Georgia State. Makes sense. By the way, Jazz up, all right? Georgia Southern is better than State. Oh, what's up, Taylor? Good to see you in here. You see that, Tyler? Somebody says Georgia Southern is better than Georgia State. I don't know nothing about that. I'm going to the Whole Birds channel today. What's up, Turn? I think Pittsburgh is the most underrated ACC team this year. Pitt? I think I've heard some good things about Pitt. Underrated team in the ACC. I might agree with you on that, actually, now that I think about it. Probably is Pitt. Because while I think North Carolina has the potential to be good, I think North Carolina is coming in kind of overrated, especially with what they're doing on the recruiting trail. I think people are expecting that to go on the field like year 2 or whatever. I could see a North Carolina kind of being a little bit overrated. Pitt makes sense, though. Pitt does make some sense. North Carolina might be overrated. Apparently, Louisville is supposed to be a very good team this year. I think they could be a bit overrated, but, of course, Miami's overrated, so we already know that. With all of the acquiring Georgia State is doing, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia Southern get absorbed into the school. Really? Was it Georgia State that beat the Gators without throwing a pass? Is that who that? Come on. Was it Georgia State? Louisville has elite offense. but their defense sucks. UConn probably has a better defense. Damn. So yeah, that's everybody's talking about Louisville's offense, man, and how good it is, and I'm just kind of sitting here like, okay, I re- I remember our game against them, and it wasn't all that, but apparently they grew over the year, and they should be pretty good this year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Louisville. That was Georgia Southern that beat Florida. Okay. It was one of them lower rated Georgia schools. UGA have their window of opportunity for a chip, but the cracks in the wall, especially when you bring up Eason. Yes. Come here. Yeah, give me a minute. I think Georgia, I'll be honest with you. Georgia's best chance of winning the national championship was that game against Alabama that they choked away. Um, while I think Georgia is extremely talented, man, what kind of pass was that? While I think Georgia is extremely talented, um, to me, Georgia's just one of them programs, man, that they're missing something. They're constantly, despite having talent, man, they're constantly missing something to me, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if Georgia's gonna win a national championship anytime soon, man. Despite having all that talent. Let's see if we can get a touchdown before halftime. Georgia Southern has Division II chips back in the 80s and 90s. Give me a better game than that. UGA and Oregon are the one the same. They just can't win a championship. See, I was thinking that comparison, Tyler, but my thing with let's go, Terry. Terry's a beast. Here's my thing with, to me, this is why UGA and Oregon are in a different boat. The West Coast, they play a brand of football that when they get to the SEC schools and the teams down south, they kind of have a hard time playing like some smash mouth ball. Whereas Georgia is an SEC school. They have all the Florida talent, Georgia talent, right? They get talent from all those states. And for some reason, you still can't get over the hump. Well, I feel like Oregon, while they recruit those states as well, it's just a little, Oregon just has like this thing for being a little softer. And maybe that's just me. Yeah, Rep, you saw that catch? Boy, Tamarion Terry just... Let's get that pick, Woodbay. Let's go. Now we're cooking with damn fish grease, baby. Joey Gatewood will be the best at Kentucky, only if the NCAA accepts his waiver. He announced his trade for last August, I believe. He's still waiting. Jamie Newman's waiver was like 2 weeks. Wow. Yeah, most of these guys that are transferring now, man, those waivers aren't taking very long to... Those waivers aren't taking long. And with the COVID thing, I don't think any waivers are being denied. Come on, man. We got to block better than that. Got a good little stream going, man. Got some good conversation in here. I like it. But I'm excited for the football season this year. This is going to be a unique season, something that none of us have watched or seen before. But I think, I'm telling you, if the ACC and SEC and Big 12 are successful, yeah, you're going to see the slow pull away. You're going to see it. Raptor says Gatewood was a high 4-star. I remember Gatewood, but got benched by Bo Nix. Yeah, I remember Gatewood at Auburn. He redshirted last year, I believe, so he's still a freshman. Oregon gets all the West Coast talent. It's good for QBs, but the guys who have to lay down the hits yeah. Yep. And that's what I'm saying. Like, Oregon's kind of in a little different boat to me. Because the perceived notion is that the West Coast just is a little softer. And I kind of believe it is. Georgia's in the heart of the South. There shouldn't be any excuse for a program like Georgia. Georgia should be like, LSU or something. But some schools just are mired in mediocrity. Texas A&M is one. I would put Texas A&M and Georgia in the same boat. Big universities with all that money behind them, backing them, and they're just mediocre at best. They have good seasons, don't get me wrong, but they'll never be more than what they are, what they have been. And maybe Texas A&M or Georgia get lucky. I mean, Clemson turned it around because Clemson was in the same boat as them, and they ended up turning it around. So, but I blame Clemson's success on our failure. To be quite honest with you, I blame Clemson's success on Jimbo Fisher's failure to capitalize on what should have been a dynasty run here at FSU. But that's just is what it is there. Okay, man, I have to go. Good time, you guys. All right, Raptor, man, thank you for coming, man. Tyler says, Georgia's problem is they get a bunch of dummies to play football for them. Biggest and strongest guys on the planet, but nothing between the ears. Right? That makes some sense. I mean, just look at the talent that has come out of Georgia. Like, you've had quarterbacks. You've had the Matt Staffords. You've had the A.J. Greens. You've had the Todd Gurleys. So you've had a Pro Bowl caliber player at almost all the positions. Geno Atkins. You've had him. But they have no rings to show for it. So it's, at what point do we just understand that Georgia is a mediocre program? It's just what they are. Hell, Tennessee has more national championships than Georgia. If Pruitt continues to get that thing rolling, yeah, Georgia's time's over. Georgia's time's over. There's something about the Bulldogs. Bulldogs got a fan base that's kind of similar to the Hurricanes, where if you talk to a Bulldog fan, you would swear to God the Bulldogs have 6 national championships, 15 SEC titles, their DBU, wide receiver U, running back U. Like, you would swear Georgia was the school. And then you kind of look at reality and you're like, well, no. So, they're just one of them programs. Raymond says, Pope, what about the likeness of players? Didn't Florida legislature vote to allow it? What effects will it have on recruiting for all schools? Half of UJ teams gets arrested in the offseason. So to Raymond, yeah, Florida did. So here's the thing, I like to make sure I emphasize this about the likeness of players. I'm not saying you don't understand it, but just in case somebody doesn't understand it. Doesn't mean that the school or anything like that, or is paying players. What it means is if they ever start this game ever again, and you put Cam McDonald in the game, well, Cam McDonald now gets compensated for his likeness being in the game. These kids can now remember when Jameis Winston was at the at the peak of his Heisman hype. Jameis Winston would spend 3, 4, 5 hours after baseball games signing autographs. Didn't get a dime for it. Now, we're not going to be silly here and think that Jameis Winston wasn't getting some compensation, because that happens everywhere. But legally, damn, Chuba, bad pass. Jameis Winston was not allowed to get a lick of compensation for that. That all changes now, I believe. I know the likeness thing is a fact. I think kids will now be allowed to make money off of their name, and I think that includes autographs, pictures, jerseys, signing, stuff like that. It's going to help the state of Florida a lot. I think California is doing it as well, but I think Florida's going to be the first state to actually implement it. So I do think that matters, but I don't think it matters as much as people think, because honestly, these kids are getting compensated anyway. Who won the Heisman last year? Joe Burrow. If you don't think Joe Burrow could eat in any restaurant in Baton Rouge for free, if you don't think he was getting free gifts off the record, you're naive and you're kidding yourself. And that's every major college town and city in the country. We know Jameis Winston was getting free shit. Those crab legs that they claim he stole, every Florida State fan knows the truth about the crab legs. He didn't steal them. He was given them. But this is how dumb the NCAA is. The NCAA is so stupid and ridiculous. It was safer for Florida State and Jameis Winston for him to say he stole them. It was safer for Jameis Winston to say he actually committed a crime than to say I was given something free because of who I am. See man, Chuba's throwing the ball all over the place. But you see how idiotic that sounds? So that's why Jameis Winston and the university went with the stolen crab leg story. But every Florida State fan knows he didn't steal those crab legs. He was giving them for free at Publix. But it's safer to say I committed a crime, NCAA-wise, than to say I was given a gift. It's ridiculous. And that happens everywhere. And that's why I don't think it's as big as a deal as because it happens anyway, but at least at the Florida schools, they'll no longer have to cover it up. But, it's happening at Alabama, Ohio State. It's happening everywhere anyway. I think ultimately kids still going to want to win. That's just my take on that one. Tyler said, okay, we read that one. Pharrell. All right, Noles, about to clock out. Pick up some food. Got to go. All right, Pharrell, man. Appreciate you stopping by, homie. But yeah, man, that stuff happens everywhere. The likeness thing, while it's a good deal because schools no longer will have to cover it up, it's happening anyway. Yeah, I agree, Tyler. It's a completely idiotic. Now, me personally, I've never been a fan or in support of the university playing college athletes. I've never been in support of that. I believe one of the beautiful things about the college game is the amateurism, supposedly, of it. Now, let's be honest. These kids, they don't practice like amateurs. They don't go through the regiment of an amateur. They practice and conduct themselves like professional athletes. I got that. But I do think there's a certain passion, a certain, just a certain vibe you get with college sports that you don't get from professional sports, whether it's football or basketball. And I think it has to do with that hunger of wanting to make it. And I've always felt like once the university starts going down that route of paying a kid, well, what the hell do we need the NFL for? And I think the overall product of the game suffers. One, not only that, once you open that Pandora's box of paying kids, you're going to have, I mean, it's just basic economics, right? Alabama is going to outspend Memphis. Florida State's going to outspend FIU. You're going to completely destroy, like, the market or, you know, the recruitment of these kids, like, and even in the Power 5 level, does Syracuse and FSU compete on the same budget? I would probably say not. It's going to destroy even some Power 5 schools. So I've never been in support of paying players university, but I've always never understood why a kid can't get compensated for signing autographs. Never understood that 1 second. I've always been in support. If you're gonna if that kid has to sit up there and spend 5 hours signing hundreds of autographs, why can't he be compensated for that? Why can't I sell my bowl championship ring? It's my stuff. Like, never understood why Terrell Pryor and those guys got in trouble at Ohio State for selling their stuff that they won. That type of stuff, never understood it. But I still don't support universities paying players. I just think it opens a Pandora's box that you're going to destroy the amateurism that is left in college football. Without trying to sound too, you know, hypocritical, I guess. Because I do understand that college sports isn't amateur at all. But there is a level of it there. Yeah, I agree. You don't want these kids on payroll or anything. But the idea that you can't run a business or make any kind of money is like not even a job at McDonald's. It's absolutely ridiculous. The idea that I can't go to a Publix and get a free meal is disgusting. Now, you know, does that mean the local car dealer is going to give me a Camaro? It happens. And it happens at schools that aren't even that big. I had an uncle who went to FAMU, running back. Chuck Duffy is his name. Guess what they gave him? They gave him a orange and green Camaro. Now this was, you know, a long time ago. But if FAMU can do that, we know these other schools can do it. Now I'm not saying these kids need to be able to get free freaking cars. But when we start talking about meals or Peter Warwick going to a Macy's and getting free freaking clothes and shoes, come on. Why is that a deal? I don't believe that's a big deal. Now, should USC be buying Reggie Bush's mom a house and stuff? That's a little bit much. Right? Buying houses and stuff for these kids and their families. I can see how those are like huge violations. But man, let these kids be able to make money off of the time and effort they spend appeasing fans and boosters. How many boosters you think Jameis Winston met with at his time at Florida State and had to shake hands and play the dog and pony show? So that's the type of stuff I'm talking about. I haven't even played a good game this game. And we are destroying, I won't say destroying, but we're giving Louisville the business. Jay-Sean Corbett has been killing it the last couple weeks on the ground. And Helton just beat him deep. Let's go. Oh, he got him hit by the shoestrings. After this game, we will call it a wrap. But we still got 3 minutes left, so we had some good football discussions today, though, fellas. So again, I thank everybody that tuned in and shared those comments and thoughts. Some good football discussion. Tubba up the gut. Tyler says, I went to a small college, but even the athletes there could make lots of money off their likeness in a local basis. Might give these kids something to think about if they might lost on the Power 5 roster. Yeah. It's only the big schools that they care about. Like you said, you went to a small college. They probably wouldn't care if some of those HBCUs were doing stuff. So I don't know. But that just goes to the point. NCAA, because NCAA has authority over those small colleges too. But they're hypocritical. NCAA doesn't know, their head from their ass. NCAA's days are numbered. I believe that. Right now, man, we just going through the motions. Louisville can't do nothing with us. Juwan Pass is trash. Gainer's balling. Woodbay's got a pick. A star at the local D2 school could make more than a third string player at UGA. Yeah. Because God forbid one of those, the third string center at Georgia does anything. That's an automatic sanction, and it's just, again, hypocritical from the NCAA standpoint. So that is the positive thing about the likeness thing, right? These schools will no longer have to worry about that garbage. And quite frankly, if you let the players make money off the likeness anyway, in my opinion, he was offsides. In my opinion, that kind of, doesn't that help the university? And I'm not talking about it recruiting wise, but from a money standpoint, if the kid can make money going to sign autographs or whatever the case may, or doing appearances at the mall, whatever the case, we can go do that. Then the university don't have to come out their pocket. Or you don't have the stories of kids selling drugs in dorm rooms and stuff. All that kind of garbage stuff. They can try to get money in legit ways. I just don't understand why the NCAA, up until this point, they have been so anti-player rights, and they starting to feel the pressure. It's one of the reasons why they allowing transfers now. They're allowing players to keep eligibility. This is stuff that 10 years ago the NCAA wouldn't have done. I fully believe that. Granted, this pandemic is something that we've never experienced before, blase, blase, but 10 years ago, man, in something similar situation, the NCAA wouldn't have let kids maintain eligibility and all this other stuff. They just would have been like, well, you don't play, but these kids have a bigger voice now. They're starting to speak up now. People are starting to be on the side of the kids, and a lot of things are starting to get exposed. So that's kind of where we are right now in 2020. Man, he got cracked and held on to that. Get out of here. North Carolina beat Georgia Tech. Oh, they're keeping it onside. Really? You gonna go for an onside? Come on. Yeah, the flag is they didn't kick it far enough. NCAA is outdated, unnecessary, plain and simple. We are 100% in agreement on that, Tyler. And this will be a reoccurring conversation. Obviously, I'm not the first one to talk about it. I won't be the last one to talk about it. But their days, NCAA's days, are numbered. And the more evidence you're going to see of conferences going and doing their own thing, like we're going to see when this season kicks off September 12th, the more these conferences are going to come more empowered and bold to say, why exactly do we need the NCAA again? Oh, that's right. So they can give us scholarship restrictions when they're pissed off. Okay, Corbin, let's go. So Jay-Sean Corbin has been the best player on the team so far this season. Holy cow. I was just trying to run the clock out. But yeah, the conversations are gonna. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you where the NCAA kind of, well, I won't say the NCAA, but the Big Ten painted themselves in this corner. Imagine if the spring football doesn't happen. After you go a whole year without football, and you're Ohio State, you're the Big Ten and the Pac-12. That's gonna be a bad look. Because I don't think spring is going to happen. If spring does happen, it's going to be a very watered down. It's going to be a very watered down product on the field. And something else I had just thought of in regards to the spring. You know, kids early enroll in the spring. My question is, would they be able to play as an early enrolled player in the spring and then turn around and be able to play in the fall? There's just so many questions with that spring stuff. Not hit. So, this game is over, folks. Got 59 seconds, then we're going to cut it off. I guess they're doing something on one of the Miami channels. Probably T2Y's channel, you know. They get all the guys on there and they bicker back and forth. So y'all go check that out. Don't know what time that's going to be. Oh, and Purdy. God. Oh, we just running up the score. Purdy balling. Jay-Sean balling. I'm not going to waste any more of y'all's time. There's nothing left to see here. It's been an absolute domination. 45-15. Mike Norvell got the boys rolling like always. It's about lunchtime for us. Let's finish off these last 30 seconds. Come on. They can't run. They can't do nothing. Team didn't on the tackle.
So it's 2nd and 13. Ball on their own 22.
There you go. Another game in the books. I was able to get through 2 games here today. I need to get back on it. I've had to focus on so much other stuff that I haven't really been playing the game. Playing my FSU season like that. It didn't help that the old one got deleted, so essentially had to start over. But like always, man, hit the like button. As you can see, you get in here, man. We have these real football conversations. We a Florida State channel band, but I talk about it all. I talk about basketball, football, FSU, college sports in general. We get some some NBA in here. We can talk NFL, whatever. I hope my game didn't freeze, because it looks like it froze. On live chat, my game looks like it froze, which means I don't have to play this game again. So this sucks. This sucks. Really. Yep, looks like it froze. We played a dominant game and it freezes. Holy sh! Man, I'm not gonna waste y'all time no more. Thanks, Noles Blooded. Great win that froze on me, so this sucks. But it's your boy, man. Y'all already know. It's Polk County Noles. Y'all stay classy, Seminoles. And we out here. I can't believe this shit.